Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So after a while, finally, I was able to make the videos and the recap of the game between me versus Ding Liren last week. So was a bit busy, and I think it takes me a while to fully understand what is going on in the game, and also like to learn on the lessons from the game as well. So it takes me, a week to do it. So hopefully it is not like a very big concern. So here, today I will try to go to game 3, which is I think the most complicated games, and also the game which I was like closest to outplay Ding Liren in a game. So as you guys may wonder, so this is me. I am International Master Minh here. Play against the world number 2 in Classical, the world number 1 in Rapid, GM Ding Liren from China, in the Chattercom Global Championships. Thank you, Chattercom, for allowing me the chance to play there. And obviously, thank you, Ding, for the match, since I feel I learned a lot from this one. So, if you guys want to, so I may try to do like the other 3 games in another recap, which would be, relatively shorter, since not only they are not as complicated as this one, but also another important thing is that, they are just like some kind of erotic attempt from Ding, and that was not able to explain even for my level right now. So let's come to game 3 here, which is the game I was black, and the result is 1-1 after 2 first games. I beat him first game with black, but was very lucky that game since I was completely losing, right? In game 2, so I chose I think select setups, but then he routed me slowly, and he give me own kind of troubles. So don't let you guys wait for so long. Let's come right in detail. Game 3 between GM Ding Liren and a mediocre player, Minh. Let's go. C4 in the game. C6. Knife 3, knife 6. D4. So against Ding, I must say that a lucky thing, I guess, when I play him is that like normally he's the guy who mainly plays C4 D4. So this is the thing that I kind of expect a little bit. So in the opening, I can play fast. I forget to say earlier, the time control here is 15 minutes plus 2 seconds increment per move. D5, my traditional slav. E3, F5, the show of defense. C3, E6. H4, E4, F3, E6. Okay, this is the main line, nothing so special. D2, E7. Normally here, in case you guys may not know, so the main line is Queen B3, Queen C7. He may like play CD5 or castles, he may rook C1, plenty of things he can be played in the game. So Ding chose a relatively rarer approach. But obviously, if you are Ding, you can play whatever you guys want. Take here, takes C2. This is fairly rare. The idea here is to castles on the queen side and then put pressure on the king side here later in the game, since this is the side where I will mostly castles, So back to the game. A6. The plan is to take here and to play B5. Let's say if I play like knight B7 for instance, he can even consider text, then like castles here, and then now I don't know, although the engine prefers black, I don't like this type of positions. So in the game I just simply play A6, which actually was kind of a typical move in these positions, since I can play like take here, B5. If he takes here, I will take here, and then I can play B5 even faster. My knights can be placed in C6, which is much more active compared to D7. In the game, castles. Takes B5. E2, D7, all things fairly normal here. E4, C5. Yeah, pretty normal still, right? The plan is to play C5, Not only striking in the center, but also can try open up the c5 as well if I was allowed. For instance, take here, I can play bishop to, I can play knight c5 for instance, and then rook c8 before can be a thing to do. Bishop e3, just like queen to c7 or queen a5, and I think I should be fine there. So in the game, we play d5. Lower center, which I would say pretty understandable. Takes, take with a knight, understandable again. If you take with the e pawn here, I can just play, maybe bishop d6 or queen c7. And this pawn here may be a take it later if I can play before in the near future. In the game, and d5 takes here, takes. If I remember correctly, after this one, I still had, I think both of us still had around 13 minutes and like 50 seconds, both of us. So here it is for my first major thought. Obviously, castles here will run into trouble, right? As you can see here, so this looks quite scary. H5 can be played and he is close to open up the H file. To show you how, tricky things can be, like for instance here, right? You can just play like rook h3, I think so, which is very strong. And you can play rook h1 and g3 here, and I will be in trouble. So, in the game here, after some thought, I play knight f6. Not only bring my knight closer to the king side, but also I can put pressure on the pawn here later. Bishop g5. So he not only he defend the pawn here, but also he activate the bishop into better squares. Castles here is fine, but once again h4, g4 seems kind of annoying, right? So in the game I chose a different approach. Well, actually it is a bit different than normal. Obviously we both know that we should try to make our king safe before doing things, right? But here I don't see anything in the e5 right away. That's why I play queen to d6 first. I prevent his d6 ideas here, which actually maybe happen. For instance, if you c4, right? You can play here, and takes here, and like queen e4 for instance, and there will be a very beautiful trick when my queen here is overloaded, right? So takes and take here queen e8 for instance. This sample line just show you if I were not careful, so it can go wrong for me very easily, right? In the games of queen e6, g3. Obviously, I don't really threaten to take the pawn at h2, but I think with the move g3, he just wants to play this move here if needed. Also, he can try to keep up with the threats. If you play the h4, I think I can play h5 here, which is the plan for me when I can control these dark squares, right? Or I can still play rook d8, which is like my normal plan. In the game, g3, rook d8. If I don't play this one, so you can play f4 and this once again, and I'm in trouble. King b1, understandable move. c4. This is a useful move, and I don't see any rush in castling right away. So my plan is queen c5 and even threaten to take the pawn on d5. h4. This is the first mistake due to the engine, but I can tell that it is pretty hard to exploit it. The engine wanted me to capture on g3. And although at first sight it seems like nothing's wrong here, right? But my king is still on e8, and he can play f4 here as well, or rook g1, and his, I think, attack in the king side can even get faster. So in a human eyes, I feel like this move just seems a bit illogical here. c5. Just keep up with the ideas. f4. A good move for him. Bishop can be played to f3, and also h5 can be a thing to do. b5. I take the pawn here, for good. Since if you play rook d5, just like with the knight, and I'm in no trouble. So I'm over pawn, but obviously my king is still in danger, and it's not really clear for me to go for the attack. If I play the move, let's say castles here, he can play h5, right? So the game is still very complicated. Rook d1. Yes. So here you can see in the analysis, right? That I don't know why, but like castles was given a question mark. The reason here, I don't know. I guess it just walked right away into own kind of complexities. I guess here the engine wants me to play queen d6. And rook d2 can be a plan. This one I think is pretty strong, but once again the engine gives a very complicated lines like h5, for instance. So I play rook to d2, queen c3, I takes, he takes, here and here. I don't know. For me, this still feels kind of scary, so I'm not really sure about things. Probably should be what I need to go for. But in the game here, so now I realize some threat in the e file. You can play here next, and obviously my king will not feel very safe here. So after some consideration, I just castles. h5, obviously. So I can play here. I saw in the game, but I'm just worried about like here rook d2, right? So he takes here, let me show h5, and this one looks seriously scary. I take here rook e7, right? King here and queen here, for instance. This looks seriously scary. So I'm not really sure. In fact, in the game, I take on h5 first. h5, obviously. Here I can tell you I spent quite an amount of time, at least 3 minutes here, to consider what happened in these positions. I think I came up with the best move here, but I can tell you that I did consider plenty of things here. First of all, I can tell you that my king is in danger in the open files. For instance, I can give you a sample line. If you play queen b4, right? Attempt to play rook d2 here, attacking his king and b1. You can just play bishop f6. Attack, I mean like just take my knight to f6, remove the defender, and a very beautiful mate can be shown in this line bishop here, and queen h7 exclamation mark. I must play here, right? And he can take here, and this is a mate in h file. Kind of instructive, right? So I saw his ideas in the game. So I decided that, okay, so time to bring my rook here. Not only to threaten rook d2, but my queen here can still, I mean, play a role of a defender. Take here is not what I consider, since he can just play here, and this double attack just kills the game instantly. I also spent some time for rook g5. Takes knight h5. It's one, but I just simply, you know, rewrite it. I mean, like simply realize take here rook h1, and then queen h2 next, and I can even resign right now, since there's no defense against the mate on h5, you know. So rook d8 was playing the game. Here, if I remember correctly, I had only around like 6 minutes, and he get like still like 9 minutes. Rook h2, defend the second rank, and ready for the doubling in the h file as well. Queen b4, exclamation mark. I was pretty proud of this move. First of all, I forget to say if you play rook h2, right? So now if you play here, which is the threat I showed earlier, right? It's not a thing, since I can just play rook h5. And my queen here is playing a row defender, right? So take here, take here. This is, I think, should be a draw. Can play this one and rook d3, but the opposite color bishop should give him some enough chances to go for a draw here. So in the game, he obviously he want to play for the win, you know. So he just played h2, keep attacking me before. And now the difference is that if you take on f6 here, I can go queen e1 checks. It was hanging, so we had no time for that. If you play like, you know, let's say rook e2 here, I can rook d1, you know. It's a thing as well. So now he played rook h1, which is an own inside. Here I only had around 3 minutes, and I suddenly realized defending here is very rough. I must play super precise right here. For instance, if rook d2, for instance, right, you can play bishop e2 and I think this is super annoying. Since now not only he can keep the rook on h2, right? But also the h file is completely open. Take here, allow mid in 1, right? And this is forcing move, but I can play like queen c1. And obviously now f5 can be a threat. a3 can be a threat too, and I don't really see any clear things in these positions. So in the game, after some thought, play knight h5, which is the only good move here. Takes and f6. So in the game, you can see the engine, right? It showed that I was winning. In the game, he still got around 3 minutes, and I had 1 minute and 18 seconds right here. I could tell you that at these positions, I was pretty happy. In fact, I don't even think that I'm winning right now. I saw no defense about this attack here on the bishops, and rook h8, king f7 is nothing so serious. Take here, and rook d8, rook d2 can always be a threat, and on kind of threat here really favors me. Bishop on g5 is even looking like being trapped, right? So check is not doing anything at all. The only check here with queen here, I must be a bit careful, obviously. If I play king here, right, he can play f5. And the bishop suddenly play as a defending role. Take here, allow mate on g6 and h8. So, it's still very complicated, but I can play like king f8. Here and here, and only I get a tempo. But this is just completely decisive. But in the game, right when I thought everything was so good for me, he came up with the best defense. And I must say this is super annoying. As you know, I was down in time in the game. Queen e2. Obviously, the engine showed that I was winning, but I must be super precise and in some scramble and against someone like Ding, so it's just not easy at all. In the game, so queen e2 was played. The threat is queen e6 and mid h8. You can play queen e4 for instance, right? You can play this one and a queen h5 and still another check from the rear, which will also be super dangerous. So here, after I think 30 to 40 seconds of thought, I was again came out with the best defense. King f7, only move. And I defend this square is here, defend bishop as well, and rook d2 can be a thing. Here, so the only real attempt for him to bring the rook to attack with rook e1 here can run into a very beautiful trick by me, which is queen e1 checks. Just here, I just take here, right? And I managed to simplify. Takes, and king rook to d5, and this is just over instantly, right? So in the game, here he played f5. Threaten queen e6. Yes, it is. Obviously, I must defend as well, right? The bishop now can also defend from g5 too. I must say that here in the game, I only had around 30 seconds. And you know, the king is in the center, right? So to a human point of view, I just want to play safe. In fact, I just want to find a way to simplify her. So here, I messed up a detail. The clearest way to win, and in fact, I think the only clear way to win here is rook e5. Defend against with queen here as well, and also attack with tempo. So the only way to defend the bishop is bishop e3, right? Where c3 just completely decide the game. So now my threat is rook e3, my threat is rook d2, my threat is queen b2, and now I kind of force the simplification, which worked very well in my favor. So if I play rook e5 here, so I think I could be able to create a huge upset. And also this can be one of the best games in my career. But sadly it is, I just play, the wrong move. I play queen e6, which was wrong. This is the third choice for the engine, but sadly that it is not the thing to do. In the game, I only look for rook d1, which threatened the simplifications, but I miss his ideas of bishop c1. And this is disgusting for me. Since rook d1 now is impossible, since you just take here and he played queen a6, you know? This is not check anymore. So in the game, I realized things was not good for me right away, so I played rook e5. Queen g4. Here I only had around, I think, 17 seconds. And he still got like, I think, above a minute. Which I fit here. Check first. Sorry, I checked first. King e1. And here, once again, the situation is pretty dangerous. Queen g6 is the thing to do, right? And sadly, I have nothing to do with it. King e8 here, sadly, is wrong since you just played rook h8. He takes and go rook d1, and the pin decide the game instantly. So I came up with the best defense, even in time scrambles. Which f8. I defend a pawn here, and I create a running square for my king. Queen g6, king e7. The game now is still very, very complicated. He can play g4, g5 here, but I can play c3 and go for my own attack. So he decided to go for the sacrifice. You know, I think which is very annoying for me under time scrambles. Rook 7. So he planned to go for this. Rook g7 and open up my king at once, right? In the game, I realized I have no way to defend the sacrifice, so I just bring back my queen to defense. Queen f5, which is correct by me. Takes. King e6. King to d6 here can be a huge mistake. Not only he can play rook d1, also he can play here as well, and he can take back the exchange, right? The only good thing about us here is that we have an exchange, and if we drop an exchange right here, so our king will look kind of naked, right? And in time scrambles, it's wrong. King e6. So here, I'm pretty sure I only had 10 seconds on the clock. And he got around, I think, like 40 to 50 seconds. Rook a7, understandable. It's like when you say A, you must say B, right? So you just sacrifice on g7, so now this is just understandable move. So here I'm still winning according to engine, but sadly I have only one playable move to win. My king looks very, very, weak, right? But here, in fact, the thing to do is just simply ignore it and to play queen f1, which is the only thing to do. Rook e1 allow queen e7, and the rook here is being taken. Rook d1 allow queen e7, and he play this one, and also the pin doesn't matter here. He can also even play like queen b7, I think so. Which keep on attacking here, I don't know. You can see it's not easy, right? But the engine can only fight queen d8. And king here, rook c7 probably. But yeah, I missed that as well. I'm so bad. So, the only way to win is queen f1, which threaten his back rank. Ignore about my own king safety. Queen e7 is not scary here since we just look king f5, Obviously here we have a very devastating threat, so we must keep up winning checks. Rook h5, we play king g4, and surprisingly here we can win the game right away since this is only checks left and this is over. But here what scared me more is queen f7 here. King f5, right? King here, queen here is a lot of fun. So king here, and now like rook h5 for instance, right? Rook h5 for instance, or queen h5, I don't know. But my king is super nick in the center, and I only had like around 10 seconds left. So I was so ready to go for this. Also, queen f1 is the only way to win. For instance, queen c2 with the same ideas, right? Can be met with queen f7, king f5, and for instance, even like queen h5 here. King here, right? And here. And it looks surprisingly scary. Let's say here, h1, and like here, for instance, I don't know. But it looks super, super scary for me. So in the game, I didn't have much time left. So I went for a simplification, which throws away all the initiatives. As mentioned earlier, this is the only way to win. Let's see in the game. Here, 3-1. I went for the background attack, but sadly this is not enough. White had perpetual here. Queen h3, Queen e7, Queen here, King e6, just here. White have nothing but checks. I mean, if you play King b1, I can play here, and he will still need to give perpetual later, since he had no other ways to do it. So in the game, Queen h3 still, King e5. I knew I can have a draw here, so I just trying to gamble a little bit. But the result is never in doubt. Queen h5, f5 on the choice. Here he can play plenty of things. Let's say Queen g5, Queen here, King b1. But I think in the game he played the best move. Queen b1, correct move. Rook d1, Queen e8, Queen d5, Queen d7, Queen e4. And he played Queen c6, which I think is the simplest move. Queen here, for instance, I can play King f3 and King g2, right? And this is where my king can probably run away from the attack. So, I mean, he must be quite careful, right? That's why he played Queen c6, which prevented me from getting into a safe zone and forced me to get back again. Since King d3, he can play Queen f3 here, and this looks super scary. I must tell you that. So in the game, here, King e5, check here, yep, and also draw, right? Have no way to avoid the perpetuals, and the game ended in peace. Yes. Okay, so obviously that's the game. In fact, I was proud of this game, since I was quite close to beat Ding at some point, right? Especially I think Rook e5 and the game will finish in my favor. And I think if I play here, so this is just game over right away, right? But, you know, he just play some accurate defense. He plays some creative move, which forced me to spend all of my time on the clock. And when in time scramble, it's just hard to play with these players at the caliber. I really try there. I play some correct defense. I play some precise moves. But at the end of the day, I failed to convert it. But still, you won't have a chance to play against someone like him, you know, a lot of time. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, he was the number 2 in Classical and number 1 in Rapid in the world, right? So it was an honor for me to have a match with him. Although we lost in a match with the result of 1.5 to 2.5 for his favorite, I still feel like I learned a lot from the games, and I really feel he just outplayed me in most of the games. But this one gives me some confidences that I can improve as a player, and I can grow stronger, and I can become a threat to these players some days. So, obviously we are close to winning, but his defense is very, very tough. There are some chances for me, not very clear, but I must find some really, really tough move. I think Queen f1 is super rough. This one is super, super rough. So, in fact, I learned something from this game, and also hopefully you guys can learn something as well. So, if you guys want to, have the other 3 games here, I can do a recap later about these 3 games. Hopefully you enjoy the recap here. Hopefully you enjoy the game and you enjoy all the complicated moments in the game as well. And we'll see you later. Thank you. Hopefully you enjoy the game, and goodbye.